welcome to another episode of Unscripted with Marilyn Morales. Today, I have a guest that, again, I recently met. I am running into some beautiful, God-inspired individuals out there as I go about talking about his legacy and taking stages and just sharing information. And that is the case with my next guest. I saw her a couple months ago at an event that I attended, heard her speak, but didn't get to connect with her until she showed up at an event that I was a speaker at. And we connected after that. We have something that she calls a soul connection, right? When you see somebody and you know that you want to connect with them and you want to get to know them better. Well, let me tell you who my next guest is. Her name is Martha Razo. She is and very impressive. I read this bio and I was like, oh my God, right? She is a mathematician, a philanthropist, entrepreneur, author, CEO of Guero's Pallets, and founder of Xcelerator Business Summit. Martha has a bachelor's and a master's from the Illinois Institute of Technology and Applied Mathematics and is pursuing her Ph.D. in industrial engineering at the University of Illinois at Chicago with a focus on data and process mining. Martha Razo owns a book series, Business Diva, which features the stories of women entrepreneurs across the world. Let me welcome Martha to the show. Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning. How's it going?
I got you up real early today, right?
Yes. She's like, Martha, I thought you were an early person. No, but I am going to.
Yeah, that's right. And it starts today.
Starts today. I love
Started
this.
today. Listen, for me, the earlier I get up, I've always been an early bird since I was a child. I get up, I do my thing, but I'm also in bed early. So, is that something? Do you go to bed early? Do you go to bed late? What time is your bedtime?
No, I go to bed late. Yesterday, I went to bed at about midnight, close to 1, because I was at a networking event. And this is the thing about networking events. They are usually start at 6:30 or 7. When you drive home, you probably get home about 11. And I'm a serious networker when I'm out there. Like I
Yes,
make
you
sure
are, my dear. Yes, you are.
I know everybody, and I just don't stay local. I travel everywhere to know as many people as possible.
So that's interesting. Do you find that networking aspect of you, of Martha, right, and loving to do that, has that been the game changer in your career?
Yes, it opens me up to different people, to different networks. It keeps me very active because I'm a very active person, so it fuels my personality, and it fulfills me per se. And also, psychologically, this is what happens. When you post on social media, people perceive you as differently because traveling and vacationing is almost every human being's dream. And I am doing it as my job, but my job is like a vacation to me. So people get excited and they want to live in your shoes per se, so they perceive you in a whole different lens, so it elevates you as your personal brand, and people also want to do more business with you.
All right. Listen, if you're excited about what you do, being excited it's like an infectious disease, right? Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to feel that. And definitely you have a great energy. My question to you, have you always been this way? When you were a child, were you outgoing? I know for myself, and a lot of people look at me and go, what? I was extremely shy. I would hide behind my parents if you talk to me, right? I didn't want to. Nursing for me is what broke me through the shyness and to be able to talk to people. Becoming a nurse, I became a nurse at the age of 17. So I started training as a nurse in the hospital when I was 15 years old, right? So you're a teenager, and we all know how being a teenager is, right? But that broke me out of not wanting to speak to people, right? Or being afraid to talk to people. How were you as a child?
I was always very happy and optimistic. I wasn't always surrounded by people and really, what to say, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was always very focused. But even though I wasn't like social butterfly and talking to everybody like I am now, or intentionally, because I grew up with I was told that I didn't need friends, that it was better to be alone, that people will betray me. So I did have a trust issue growing up. But even with that idea that I was taught when I was little, I was always very optimistic in my head. Even when I was bullied, I would go home and I would go on my knees. This was like when I was 9. That's when I started
Mm-hmm.
getting bullied. From 9 to like 14, I'll get on my knees and I'll be like, God, please, 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 please help these people. I know they don't mean to hurt me. They're hurt inside, and that's why they're hurting me. Please help them, because then probably they will not hurt anybody else anymore. Like, it's okay. I will take it, because I always had that I had God. Like, I always knew that there was someone taking care of me. So that connection, my positivity, I always had it since I was little. I think that was just a given gift from God to be positive, even when,
Oh my God.
because I felt adversities when I was little. I usually don't touch this, but when I was 9, I don't even know what really happened,
Mm-hmm.
but I do remember someone touching me. I just don't, I guess my mind blocked that. But I know
Okay.
for sure that by 14, I was abused. And that's something that I actually wrote a play about it. But even in that adversity, I think I had to deal with that so I can share it and show people, like, you don't have to be sad about it. It's not great that it happened, but what came out of it. And a lot of great things came out of it. I'm basically afraid and not shy about anything. I can go on stage, I can go on camera and news, and I'm super open and
Yeah.
transparent with people. People can ask me anything, and that's really good, because then people really see the heart and the soul of me, because there's nothing I will hide.
Right. And I think that's incredible that at 9 years old to have that forethought instead of praying for karma to get your bullies, right? God, please go get them, right? It's like, forgive them. It was almost a forgiveness for them and they know not what they do, right? Help them to be better people. That's fantastic because I don't know a lot of 9-year-olds that have that kind of connection with God. Was that also something taught to you as growing up? I mean, I think that's a very Latin thing to tell your children. I grew up the same way, right? It's better to have no friends than to have friends who are going to betray you. And nobody's your friend. Your family is your friends, right? So all those kind of messages we grow up with, and so we have an automatic distrust. And then I grew up in New York City, so New York City automatically you trust nobody, right? No matter what culture you're from, you're taught the same thing. So God taught to you from parents as you were growing up,
My
or did you
parents,
just have it?
my parents were not very religious, to be honest. So I think it's
Wow.
just something that came. I mean, I learned, they would take me to church, but they were not always going to church. It was only the part where you do your communion or confirmation. I think it was my confirmation. That's
Yeah.
it. Like when they instilled in me religion, they just meet the
The
confirmation, communion,
requirements.
the requirements,
Uh-huh.
and that's it. And that's the only time we went to church. But not really. It wasn't like ingrained, like you need to believe in God. I just knew they believed in God. And this is the secret to God. A lot of people memorize prayers. And
Mhm.
since I was little, I learned to just have conversations. And I think that
Yes.
just opens my relationship.
100%. I have to agree with you. Myself, I'm a Catholic. I don't know if that's how you grew up Catholic as well, right?
Yeah.
Cradle Catholics. Yeah. And your whole thing is to memorize the prayers for you to do your communion, right? You have to know what they are and doing all this stuff. So we think that that's the only way to communicate with God. And it wasn't until I got older that, yeah, I was having conversations. Again, nursing opened up conversations for me because I was seeing things that no typical teenager would see when you talk about illness and trauma of other people in the hospital, right? And at the time for me it was in the 80s. AIDS had just come out, right? So seeing that as a teenager was different. Working in a trauma unit and seeing so crack was another thing that was just coming out and being another pandemic, very similar to what's going on now, but very different because there was a lot of violence associated with people who did that. So I saw a lot of things like that, and I wondered where God was. And I started having conversation with God. How do you allow this kind of an illness? How do you allow these things to happen? I don't understand it. Um, so as you're growing up, so you shared one of the things that you did, right, in order to get through the traumas, 9-year-old, 14-year-old, things like that, was to hold on to your faith, right, and have conversations with God. Tell me, how did you get to that next level? While you were going through that, was there anything that you can share that helped you get through while you were going through it? Or was it not until after that you learned to deal with it?
After, what helped me to deal with it, I mean, the things that happen as a little kid, you're super embarrassed. Like you feel that it's all your fault. And that is the hard thing, that you always blame yourself. What
Right.
helped me was writing my whole story as a play. I created a one woman show. It was a 1 hour show that basically talked about my life since I was little till I was pregnant with my son. So let's say since I was born all the way to 23, because that's when I had my son at 23. And it was so empowering to tell my story because you had to memorize it. So you had to say it again and again and again and again. And now you had to basically put your entire cards in front of everybody, lay them out
Mm.
and present it to people. So I had this show, like I think I gave the show about 5 or 6 times. So as I was saying, I was presenting, doing the monologues, because this play is basically it was a bunch of monologues talking about my journey being undocumented, and then also my story of being abused, because my abuse actually, interesting enough, I told you that it led to many blessings. It
Right.
led to my residency path and hopefully my citizenship very soon.
Wow. Wow. Can you share a little bit about how did that happen? How did it lead to that?
So after the abuse, my mom was desperate, trying to find me therapists, trying to make sure that I was healed, because I was 14. She didn't know how to handle the situation.
Right.
I was under huge depression, and she was concerned for me. And in that search, she found somebody who told her, "You know what? If an immigrant is abused in this country, you can apply for residency that includes you and your entire family." So my mom was like, "Oh my God, I need to apply for this." And the person that hurt me was already in prison. So
Wow.
if this is aligned with the prison system where it's confirmed that something happened, which is a horrible way of getting
It is a
citizenship.
horrible way, but can I tell you how many people are probably going to hear your testimony right now and have gone through a similar experience and not know that, right?
Yes,
That's a huge
it's
testimony.
called the U visa. So it's something that people don't talk about, because it is,
Yes.
and it is a
Horrible.
little, it is a horrible thing, and also kind of embarrassing to come out and say I was abused. So
Yes.
U visa, and you know what's great? That not only did I get my residency path, it was my mom and my father. And now they can travel back and forth to Mexico. My dad wasn't able to see his mother when he passed away because he didn't have his papers yet. But my mother, her mother just passed away about a month ago. She was able to fly out, do the whole process, mourn her mother the right way, not from a distance and not being able to see them, hug them,
Right.
and just be present in those last days. And it makes a huge difference. It's such a big peace of mind.
Yeah, that's huge. That's truly huge. So do you talk about that? Do you share that information? Do you connect other people who are undocumented with that there's other potential ways that unfortunately, if you are harmed in this country, do you ever speak about that?
I spoke about it with my play, and this is going to be a play that I'm going to relive. I mean, I stopped it at
You're gonna
23.
keep doing it.
Now I'm
Okay.
29, so I haven't published it because there's still so much I want to tell. Like I want to talk about my son, who he
Yes.
published his book. That's gonna excite a lot of people when they hear the play and they're like, "Oh my God!" Even her son wrote a book. He's a 6 year old, so I'm sure that there's a lot of pieces that I still want to put into my play that I want to let people know about, because it stops at
Guess what?
23.
Because guess it's gonna keep going. There's gonna be several plays because as Martha keeps growing and growing and growing in her life and in her business, there's gonna be extra chapters added onto that play. What inspired you to write a play?
I
Like
love theater.
what that thing? Oh, so you love theater. There you go.
I love theater.
So you love theater and that inspired you to write your own. That inspired you to write your own play and you put it on. What places put your play on?
So
Where were you able to do it?
I I love theater. Actually, that's what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to
See, I
be
can
an
see
actress.
that.
It's
I can
interesting.
see that.
I from an actress to a mathematician. But this is actually the lowest point I was ever in my life, even after being abused when I was 14. At 17, when we're applying for college and figuring out where we wanted to go, I put my heart into theater, and I applied to a theater school in New York. And New York is one of the places known for uh,
The arts. Mm.
for the arts. So I apply, I get accepted. I'm super excited. But when I call the admissions office and mention my situation, hey, I don't have a social security number, I was like screamed at. You're like, what? What are you doing in our schools? What are you doing in this country? You don't belong here. Like, why are you even
What?
talking to me? Anyway, when I hang up, I was broken. I was sad because it was my dream to go to college. It was my dream to do theater. So for some reason it was just so bad that I went into a dark hole. I was the first time I ever experienced depression. I stopped going to classes, and if I ever was in class, I was like not even present. I wasn't submitting homeworks. I was like number 2 in class, and this is Curie High School, so it's 4,000 students. I was number 2,
Oh my
and
God.
I completely stopped. Even my classmates who bullied me, because I was still bullied in high school for some reason, people did not like that I was super focused and super excited about school. They just found that so weird, and they didn't know how. I don't know, but they just like to bully me and be mean
There's
with me.
bullies. There's bullies everywhere. Right?
They just like to be mean. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
I never understood it, but those people were even concerned with me, and they were like, "Martha, are you okay?" I just never talked to anybody. I just said, "Yeah, I'm okay," and just moved on. But at some point, my counselor told me, "Martha, you're not going to be able to graduate because you need 4 credits of English if you don't get it together." And that woke me up. I'm like, wait a minute. 3.5 years, I worked
Yeah.
diligently, super hard. I was a straight A student. For me to blow my graduation for 1 semester, I got it all together. I went to every teacher and said, what do I have to do? If I do all my 30 or 40 assignments, that's how behind I was, 30 to 40
Oh my
assignments.
God. And your
If I
teachers weren't
did,
saying, hey, you're not handing in assignments, nothing?
no, I wasn't doing anything. I would just
Oh
come
my.
home. I would come home because I knew I was in a dangerous position. I was still smart enough to know that if I was on my own, I will harm myself. So I will
Right.
come to the house, and my mom is like, aren't you going to school? I'm like, no, I don't find a reason to live. I just know that if I stay here next to you, I am in a safer place if I am walking on the street on my own, because I have no
Right.
reason to live. Going to college was my dream. Achieving this goal of going, for me, that was my goal. Okay, I know it sounds ridiculous, like what, college?
No, it's
And
not
that,
ridiculous. It's 100%. It's like me being a nurse, right? At 17 years old. It's like I knew what I wanted. And yeah, people make fun of that, right? They make fun of you being focused. They made fun of me being focused. They still do. Right? But who cares? It's
yes,
our dream. We know what we want to do with that. It's our dream, you know?
it didn't happen. There was counselors that helped me, and when I finally got up out of that darkness, I applied to IIT, and I knew that my second favorite thing was mathematics, and I was confident that mathematics, if eventually I decided to change my mind, if I went into theater, whatever I decided to do, I was going to confidently pivot, because math was one of the most difficult thing you can ever go to school for. And
Absolutely.
I never changed. I never changed. It always kept me excited. Every year was so difficult. Every first month of every class, I was like, I don't belong here. Like, what am I doing? I'm not smart enough. And I kept just insisting, doing my homeworks, asking for help, staying after school. And I did it. I graduated in 5 years with a master's in applied mathematics, which even my professor said, Martha, this is like, because I wasn't the traditional nerdy smart kid that just knew the answer like that. I had to work to get the answer and to
That's
come up
great to know.
with it.
Yeah, because
Um,
when you hear mathematician, you're like, oh, this girl had it because, math was my least favorite subject even today, right? My kids were learning math. I was like, you gotta have to go to somebody else, right? That's not my strong point. But for when you read that, you're like, okay, this is somebody that education comes very easy. But no, you
mm-mm.
had to, it's hard work. Anything that you want that's worth anything is hard work. If you want something easy, right? It's not going to be worth it. It just isn't. Everything comes with hard work. I don't know anything that's an easy thing to do. Usually it's illegal if it's easy.
Yes.
Right?
But I'm happy because now any challenge and like AI, a lot of business owners are scared of AI. I'm like, no, bring it on. Put me in do you want me to build a rocket? I don't know how to build a rocket, but I'm not afraid. I know that it's going to take one learning, one piece of information at a time, and then I'm going to be able to do it. So that has given me the confidence to step in any room, even if I am not the smartest, to be able to get there and understand and have those conversations with people. And if you realize that you are capable of everything from learning to actually doing anything, then you dream, and it's just a matter of taking the first step. You know you're going to achieve it. Like, this is something I really want to share to your audience. The Xcelerator Business Summit. This is a 2-day conference I'm putting together on October 3 and 4, coming to Naperville, Illinois. And that was one of those things that I just know I had a vision. I didn't even know where to start. That was last year, my first event. I drop a check without having an agenda, without having speakers, without having anything. And I'm just like, I know that this was my vision, this was my picture. And every month, every day, I'm going to take it and it's going to get there. And it was such a success. It was 300 people, had 34 speakers, 82 vendors. And this year, I'm going to make it bigger because I want to impact more business owners.
Right. So we haven't talked about that. You transitioned from being a student, a college student, and graduated, right? To now moving into, I believe it was your family's business, right? And transformed the business. Talk to me a little bit about that as well.
That is one of my favorite businesses, and I am so happy. My dad said yes. I left my home when I was 18 because if you know, Latino fathers are super strict. They want you not to have a boyfriend ever, and they want to have like strict curfew hours, and it was just too much for me, especially that I'm a free bird. I'm so full of energy. Like, I want to
Yes.
move, I want to travel, I want to meet people. So I left when I was 18, and we didn't have a good relationship, and this was when I was in college. Um, but I needed a job because I did not enjoy my job at Chipotle. I was a good employee because I said yes to everything. Let me know how I can do this better, but it was not the job for me.
Right.
So I needed a job to pay for my school. So I went to ask my dad, "Can I work for you?" And he said yes. We were still on this silent treatment. He still didn't want to talk to me. I think for a whole year he didn't talk to me. So I was working there. The guys in there taught me, my dad taught me a little bit of everything from cutting wood to driving forklifts. I even learned how to drive those box trucks that are like 26 feet. I'm so blessed. I did that for about 6 to 8 months. But then I'm thinking, I'm doing a master's at IIT in math. I need to be able to help my dad in a better way. So I asked him, can I help you somewhere in the office, learning about business? And he did. He took me to his office and I learned to organize all his papers. He had a shoebox method for bookkeeping. Like, that's how most parents have it when they have their business.
Absolutely. And still some people do it that way,
Yeah.
I have to say.
And I was like, oh my God. Organizing is simple. I mean, you just put expenses and invoices in different folders and based on the person that you're selling or buying from. But then when I dove into the bank account, that was like, oh my God, we're not doing that well. And that's when I had alone time with my dad and I told him, you cannot be making checks. And I'm so amazed that even though we didn't have a good relationship because I went away, he told me, it's up to you. It's your assignment now. Figure it out. Figure out how to get us out of the rut. And
Wow.
I was
He
18.
had faith in you. He's mad at you, but he has faith in
He
you
had
because you're still his
faith in
child.
me.
Because
And
you're
I
his child.
knew that this business, we all depended on it. Me, my brothers, my sister, my mother, we all
Right.
depended on this. So I took on the responsibility. In a course of a few years, we had our own property. We got a loan for $1 million and never had a loan before. It took me a while to convince the bank, but having a math degree really helped because I was able to explain every number so well with a great explanation that they were like, no, they can pay this. Like, we can trust them. But it took a while. We own our own property now where we have our manufacturing plant. It's a pallet company. Our account has never been in negative since then. We've been very successful, and I'm just working on the next strategy so we can get bigger. And I can, give forward for my dad's faith on me because, Mexicanos are a little bit machistas. He wouldn't think that a woman can
All
do something.
Latinos. Not just lo mexicano. All the Latinos, same thing.
Yeah, and you know what's great? Then now, because he sees that women can do it all, like even sometimes better than some man, my mom works side by side with him, and he's like, "Why didn't I do this before?" Because we're
Wow.
like the best
Wow.
cool couple.
Wow. That's impactful, right? When you change your father and now your son is watching this, right? So your son is now watching mom do all these fantastic things. So you're changing the future, right? Because he's going to be different as a man and as a family man and as a father, right? So I think this is great. And now you mentioned his book. Talk to me about the book.
This is his
There
book.
it is.
It's
When did he
called
write that?
He wrote this when he was 5, so it was about a year ago, a year and a half
Wow.
ago, because now he's going to be 7. So he was about to turn 6 when he wrote this book. Angelo asked for help. And what's great about this book is that there's an activity at the end where you get to reflect on the book and see how Angelo asked for help. And then it's your turn to write how you can ask for help. And this also helps parents when they're reading it to their kids, because parents don't even know how to ask for help. They're afraid. So if together as a parent and as a child you learn that it's okay to ask for help, then all these doors will open. I believe that is my superpower. I'm not afraid to be like, I don't know how to do this. Help.
Yes, yes. Was that book his idea or did you inspire him?
No,
Did
this
you
was his
bring it to him?
idea.
That was
This
his
was his
idea.
idea.
Apple tree, tree apple, right? Just like mama. Guys, I am going to put the link to that because it is available on Amazon, correct?
Yes,
That
Amazon.
book is available. Let's inspire our children. Let's do the same with our children and we can change the future as well. Martha, this has been fantastic. Thank you for sharing so much of your life and more importantly, how you got through the struggles and work hard, guys. Share with us, how do you define success?
Success is relative, first and foremost. My success is not going to be the same as your success. For me, is having financial freedom. And what does it mean to have financial freedom? That I do not have to worry about when my next paycheck is I just have, whether it's through investment, but a consistent flow of cash that pays for all of my expenses. Will be like the basic expenses: a home, my food, my clothes, that of my sons. And that is the basics. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, now I need the Lamborghini, I need the plane. No, what are my basics? Like just
The
for me
basics.
to be fed and to be sheltered. If I can have that, that would be successful. Okay. But then now I want to have more so that I can help others get to this point, whether it's through education, through books, through big platforms like the conference. Because at some point, I don't want to be asking for sponsorship from my conference. I want to make my conference free. I want to just
Oh my
create
God, amen.
I want to create this conference where I'm like, people, it's free, fly from everywhere. You don't have to pay, just pay for your flights. And what if it gets so big that I'm like, if you really want to come, I'll get your flight. But do you get me?
Right. Awesome.
You
Awesome.
have to take care of your house first and understand what that success is, and then be able to help others. And I know that I came to this world to, even if it just make people smile, but my presence, and that's why I speak on stage, it's just so contagious that it revives you and it gives you hope. So that's what I came to do, whether it's through the financial talks that I give, through the business, even just my presence. If I come up and dance, it makes people be like, okay, I don't have to take life that serious, because we're all gonna die. Life is not that serious. You have a dream, just give it a try. The worst thing that can happen is you fail, but you failed already by not trying. So even if you fail, there's going to be a lot you're going to learn. So at the end, you won.
That's right. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. If you want to get a hold of Martha, we have her website. It was on her right underneath her photo, but scrolling on the bottom is her telephone number. Text hello to that number, 630-937-9581, and she will answer. Okay. I am a witness to that. You text her, you get a response. If you want to go to this event, absolutely reach out to Martha. I think it is 100% worth it. Martha, thank you once again for being on my show. And for my viewers, I will see you next time.